A couple of months ago, I made a video entitled Why the Boston Celtics Surge is No Fluke, and indeed, I think the Celtics' first round sweep of the Brooklyn Nets basically validated what I talked about in that video, which is the fact that the Celtics are indeed legitimate championship contenders and at this point, even possibly the favorites to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. Well, Jayson Tatum's matchup with Kevin Durant was definitely the talk of the first round, and all the subplots that came with it, such as Marcus Smart winning the DPOY award, or Al Horford and Grant Williams' two-way play have also dominated the narrative about the Celtics' postseason run so far. But on the other hand, I think we also have to talk about the consistent impact that the Celtics' second star Jaylen Brown has brought to the team. Well, we all know that Jaylen Brown is a great two-way player, and such has been backed up by his 2.5 steals per game playoff average, which actually ranks second among all players in the 2022 playoffs, only behind Jimmy Butler. But aside from that, Brown has also scored at least 20 points in each of the 4 games against Brooklyn while putting up solid first-round averages of 22.5 points, 4.3 assists, and 5.3 rebounds on almost 50% shooting from the field, all while playing close to 39 minutes per game. Well, those numbers are really good, but to me, what's even more interesting is that among all players in the 2022 NBA playoffs, Jaylen Brown's 8.5 points per game fourth quarter average ranks third only behind Chris Paul and Steph Curry, which numbers tell us how much Jaylen Brown has come alive during Boston's late game surges and how much of a solid co-star he has looked like for the Boston Celtics so far in the 2022 postseason. So what's good everyone, it's Real Balls here, and today we'll talk about the different layers of Jaylen Brown's game, which shows why he could be the Boston Celtics X Factor in this year's playoffs. But before we move on, if you guys happen to enjoy the video, you can show your support for the channel by hitting that like button or by clicking that subscribe button. It only takes a second of your time, but it would be much appreciated. So let's get to it. Entering the series against Brooklyn, I think a lot of us already knew that Jaylen Brown's matchups were going to be something worth watching, knowing that Brooklyn's top defenders like Bruce Brown or Kevin Durant would have to focus on guarding Jayson Tatum. So right from the get-go, I think it was obvious that the Brooklyn Nets would be at a huge disadvantage by placing just about anyone when it comes to defending Jaylen Brown, whether it be on isolation coverages or on switches. And true enough, those advantages that Jaylen Brown had did actually translate on the court. Well, first of all, to me, it all starts with a guy's handle. Without a doubt, Jaylen Brown is an elite type of athlete who entered the league already gifted with a unique blend of quick twitch muscle, high leaping ability, and solid strength. However, he also sort of had a loose handle early on, which I think limited his ability to fully leverage his quick first step against his defenders. But throughout the years, Jaylen Brown's ball handling has improved a lot to the point that we now see him creating space for himself in the perimeter in a more effortless manner, while also being able to put up some complex dribble shot combos even in late game playoff possessions. Add in his combination of solid upper body strength and balance, and you got an elite downhill scorer, which is exactly the type of player that we saw against the Brooklyn Nets in the first round. Just like here, you see Brown coming off the side action as he gets switched from Durant to the smaller Seth Curry. From here, he uses one dribble, he shakes Curry with a spin move, then he plants his weight on his left foot before torching his man with the tough 12-foot jumper. Then here, watch him work against Patty Mills' defense. He first tries a behind-the-leg dribble to shake off his man, but that doesn't create enough space, so he takes it inside the arc instead. You see him attacking Mills before he goes for the nice dribble pullback combination, which creates an open 19-foot jumper for him. However, Jaylen Brown's improvements don't stop there. In fact, what's been a more profound part of his offensive attack as of late has been his finishing ability at the rim. Well, during his first 2 seasons in the NBA, Brown just made 57.4 and 59.2% of his shots at the rim, which only put him in the 42nd and 33rd percentile respectively. However, he's built out his game over the past few years, and in addition to his deep bag of dribble moves, he has also increased his muscle mass, which now enables him to absorb contact without being knocked off his motions. Brown is now able to navigate crowded areas with his improved contortion ability and balance when he's attacking the basket. Basically, when he starts going downhill nowadays, it's just very hard to stop. In fact, Brown finished the 2022 regular season shooting 71% at the rim, which ranks him in the 82nd percentile among all wing players. That trend of efficiency also continued against Brooklyn as he made 13 of his 20 attempts on drives to the rim during the first round. All in all, that 65% shooting clip actually ranks as the 6th best mark among all active players in the 2022 postseason. Well, Brooklyn's subpar perimeter defense might offer an explanation as to why Brown was so relentless and so efficient when attacking the basket, but still, when you watch him play, you just can't deny that his solid mechanics and physicality also really come into play when he's trying to score at the rim. Just like here, watch Brown probe the defense in front of him. After a spin, you see him leveraging his handle and long strides against Bruce Brown. Once he's near the basket, you see Durant help, but Brown contorts his body as he finishes the tough play right at the basket. Then here, in semi-transition, Jaylen Brown immediately attacks Brooklyn's unsettled defense. As he approaches the paint, he slows down and gets Dragic to bite on a fake before he avoids the potential block by Blake Griffin as he eventually finishes the shot in the interior. Overall, Jaylen Brown's 6.3 made field goals per game within 3 feet of the basket is the 3rd most in this year's playoffs, only behind Giannis and Jimmy Butler. However, the question is, will we actually continue to see this kind of relentless rim attacking from Jaylen Brown against the bigger and more defensively versatile Milwaukee Bucks in the second round? Well, the easy answer might be no, but the thing is, Brown didn't always have to get to the rim by relying on isolation plays alone against Brooklyn. In fact, the Celtics have made life easier for him by placing Brown in some off-ball screen situations to get his attack going. Just like here, pay attention to the side action between Tatum and Brown. As Marcus Smart reads the floor, Tatum moves towards the ball, and then you can see Brown slipping through the defense as Smart finds him on his way to the rim for the wide open dunk. Then here, as Smart brings the ball down court, watch Daniel Theis set the early off-ball screen for Jaylen Brown. This gives Brown an immediate advantage as he gets a semi-open driving lane before he uses his physicality to finish against Nick Claxton's defense. I think these types of off-ball actions that the Celtics are running for Brown could definitely be very useful against a Milwaukee Bucks team that loves to smother ball handlers with various types of defensive coverages. But the thing is, it isn't just Brown scoring which has impacted the Celtics on the offensive end. In fact, I think the most promising thing about his recent play has been the court vision and playmaking ability, which again is displayed once he drives to the paint. In fact, Brown's 1.5 assists per game average out of drives ranks 8th most in this year's playoffs. Overall, he's just been consistently able to recognize how to find his teammates when the Brooklyn Nets defense started to overplay his attack, which is definitely a sign of being a capable offensive initiator. Just like in this clip, you see Brown receiving the handoff from Marcus Smart, and from here you know that he sees the entire floor. He then attacks the paint while anticipating the help defense from Andre Drummond as he dishes out the nice pass to Daniel Theis on the dunker spot for the easy finish. Then here, you'll see Jaylen Brown probe the defense. As he drives, he goes for the quick gather, then just watch him dish out the nice whip pass to Marcus Smart on the weak side, which then leads to a 3-pointer. But what's even scarier for opposing teams is that we haven't even seen Brown fully tap into his ability as a perimeter shot maker yet, especially from behind the arc. He made some nice step back threes against Brooklyn, but overall he's still prone to slumps as he shot just 21.1% from deep in the first round. But I definitely expect him to find his footing in the playoffs as long as he positions himself for open looks. Though I think one safe way for Jaylen Brown to establish his pace in the second round against Milwaukee is by taking control in transition. Boston ran over Brooklyn in the first round as the 24 transition points per game that the Celtics have produced currently ranks first in the playoffs. Jaylen Brown has been a huge part of that transition attack as the 5 transition possessions per game he's averaging is currently the 3rd highest among any player in the postseason, only behind Giannis and Ja Morant. But at the end of the day, it's one thing to attack the smaller matchups presented by Brooklyn, and probing the bigger defenders that Milwaukee will throw at him should present a bigger challenge for Jaylen Brown. But with Jayson Tatum playing like the MVP of the 2022 playoffs, Brown should continue to receive more favorable matchups. Well, Jaylen Brown has already shown that he can take over games if he wants to, but he doesn't always have to do that. Instead, I think he just needs to utilize every bit of advantage that the Celtics situation gives him for the team to reach the NBA Finals. So, are you guys satisfied with Jaylen Brown's play so far in the 2022 playoffs? Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section below, and again, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing as well. Again, this is Real Balls, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.